Okay, human behavior. We'll get to that in a bit. But also, I've been writing about human behavior on the exploratoryminds.net. It's all in draft at the moment. I want to be writing about that, psychology, and so many other things. Uh, Composite materials, definitely 3D printing and composite materials, the technology around that. There's something that I had focus on the last time I did the Exploratory Minds project, which is now coming back. I want to pinpoint something at the top of the list here is watch people on a phone. They're on the phone, it's not a video call, but their body language will still gesture because it's so powerful and it's so automatic. The thing with body language, there is some argumentation to say that you can sort of lead your mind with your body, but usually the mind moves first and the body follows. It takes a lot of focus to have some self-awareness, to position your body in certain ways to make yourself feel better, because that's always, the mind is always way ahead. The way we speak is like the words are much slower than you have a whole paragraph and you know what you want to say before you even said the first word, right? So the mind moves first. People underestimate people's feet. They're pointing in a direction. I've said it a number of times, and I caught myself, even if you're merely thinking about another person in the same room, sometimes your feet can end up pointing in the direction of that person. And it just be thinking about them, not tertiary, not really too much in depth. Attraction, certainly. People's feet point in the direction the mind wants to go. If you're in a public area, a public arena, a public bar, maybe a restaurant, or have a tertiary glance around the room. And certainly look for clusters of body language. It's crucial to look for combinations, clusters. Not, oh, if I got my arms folded, I'm disinterested. What else is happening with the body language cues, and what else is happening with the context and situation of what you're observing is crucial. Context is always important, right? With so many things, and in terms of body language. But again, I can't stress it enough, because analysing myself where my feet point as well, it's so automatic. One of the reasons why it's so like the most honest part of your body in body language is because it's the furthest away from your observation. Nobody walks around looking at their feet for the most part, right? But nobody looks at other people's feet for the most part. Yeah. And if they're pointing in a direction, the person might be interested in going in your direction. If they're pointing as well as moving up and down a bit, like I don't know if you could see if your foot's sort of doing this a bit or wiggling, it might be that person doing that wants to get the eye contact. It wants to get the other person across the room to notice something at the peripheral vision and looks as something's moving. Also, if your feet in conversation, they're pointing, and people point their feet up a bit. If they're sat and they're doing that and pointing towards you, they're going up for positive. They like what they're hearing or what you said. They feel good about the conversation. Even some people, if they're having a great conversation, they might have a bit of a bounce to them, bouncing on the feet. That's good as well. The feet have a lot of communication. The feet and legs have a lot of communication because of these certain directions moving, and even if your feet are firm on the ground, but when you're in conversation, one foot's pointing to the person you're talking to, and the other foot is sort of tapping anyway, and the torso sort of, yeah, anyway. The person wants to go. I've seen evidence of some individuals really having a lot of difficulty reading other people, whether it's because of a condition or not, I'm not sure. Um, yeah, and so it's they would do well to read up on these books out there by experts to have better social skills. These are the type of people that, even without reading anything, they're still worse than those other people who didn't read up on this for whatever reason. So look for what's called blading as well for social discourse. If someone's sort of torso is, if say a person sat over here, not square with me, if they're saying something and I sort of bladed my torso towards them and my feet are pointing towards them, that's positive. Even more positive would be me leaning forward. Would be negative is blading away, feet pointing away, and leaning back. Among other cues where the eyes go and so on. So these are clusters of information with the body language. It is very important, I think, in today's world that we become more adept at this, because there's a lot of intensity in the world, and some people are broken socially and very dysfunctional, and they double down with it. Meeting those people in person, you can end up detecting quite a lot of lies. I'm sure, yeah, certain broken people through the internet that we have witnessed. Seeing them in court, you know what they're going to do before they even open their mouth with certain body language cues. Probably get some kind of idea, and it's coloured by educated guesses from their dysfunction beforehand. That's just reminding me of certain people having court cases out there because of massive dysfunction, inability to face reality and the detriment of the errors of their ways, cannot handle even a micron of criticism. They see it as a personal attack. Somebody criticized me. I said, oh, okay. Like previously, why am I calling the Linux terminal bash and the terminal different? It's a good point because I'm using a Linux terminal to use bash. I guess you could say it like that, right? Bash being all this commands that I've tertiary gone over, the simple ones here and there. As that progress, I don't think I'll be making videos too much on the more complex side of it, but I'll be writing articles bit by bit, like I said in a previous video on that. So that'll be quite a few articles here and there, I'd imagine. And it hopefully help other people, because some of these commands are really powerful. That's useful as well. Yeah, there was something else I wanted to say. I can't remember what that was. But again, yeah, I've said it a number of times. If you're out and about today or tomorrow, just in a social arena, watch people's feet. And watch what else they're doing with the rest of their body. Are the feet pointing towards you and you're sat across the room and you don't even know them? But are they blading? Are their torso sort of pointing in your direction as well? Do they tertiary look over to your direction as well? Could be a start of interesting conversation, or maybe you think that you just look interesting, or maybe you look like somebody who knows the area, and you're gonna be asked, where is such and such a place, right? um, yeah, there's a lot to be said for that, and I do enjoy certain aspects that most people, to the untrained eye, and I'm not trained by an expert. I train. Oh, I guess I could be if you consider indirectly experts writing books and then me reading up on the books. Um, but to the untrained eye, there's certain things in body language that even those are more astute and aware of other people really are not reading. They may get a feeling intuitively, which will be from the lower function, lower, I guess, the earlier parts of our brain that formed earlier before the higher functioning executive thinking formed, which will be told, hey, this is how we feel about this. And the higher thinking takes the credit for it, like, because that comes before the higher thinking, and the higher thinking kicks in, and then what comes next is your body following. So there's lots of delays there, a lot of delaying. So how you feel about a situation, well, your higher thinking might kick in and say, oh, perhaps you're overjudging or you're feeling this way. Uh, that is causing a certain thought process of assuming things about a situation. You might, uh, analyzing yourself, thinking, well, you're uncomfortable about something, but here's why. It's not really that bad. Here's some reasoning. Here's some thinking this through, or you're feeling positive about something, and you think, oh, this is great, gonna be great because of, but you still analyze it anyway because you hope it to be true, because you recognize it's a world where not everybody gets what they want immediately, right? Or you hope it, whatever you're positive about is gonna go through, because you don't, obviously nobody wants to be wrong when things are feeling so right about any situation. But again, my point is, um, your basic, what is the word for it? It's the primitive side, the reptilian brain. But there's other names for it. I don't like to use the reptilian description because it sounds dumb. And then eventually it trickles up to higher thinking, right? So how you feel about something is your more early parts of your brain, the reptilian, if you want, and then other things. So it's interesting how the higher functioning is like, we kind of take credit for that, but we like to think. How many people watching like to think you're a logical person, thinker first before emotional second? No, you're not. Everybody is emotional first, which should be the cue to be critical thinking second. The two work in unison in that way. One instigates the other, and once the other's going, the critical thinking, you can conclude things that make you feel a certain way, in which will have you thinking that through as well, and it's a feedback loop. But people who are just raw and emotional have a lot of the critical thinking just atrophied. A lot of broken assumptions with the higher thinking, because of the emotion is overriding any quality thinking in the higher thinking, right? I hope that's clear. It sounds obscure, and it sounds like mental gymnastics are going round and round, but it kind of is, because it's kind of what we do anyway. Thank you for watching. Take care. Again, look at people's feet. I'm telling you, look at people's feet. And in a number of ways, it's just, but don't make it creepy. Don't stare at people. Um, I've seen some very interesting body language cues from other people since I've been doing deeper dives into uh, learning more about body language cues. It is fascinating. Plus, I think, really I've only just scratched the surface, despite feeling like I'm learning a lot. Go and look up the behavior panel on YouTube. Behavior panel. These are fascinating individuals who have videos of people like who are questionable, maybe the criminals they've been accused, and so on, and they analyze those people's body language in a team. There were just about four of them on camera, and pass on to one and the other and say, "Hey, what do you think? And what do you think?" And they share an opinion and come to various conclusions once they got enough data here and there. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.